Today on our program, how I organize my seeds. Like a lot of you, I started organizing my seeds by putting them into buckets. When I wasn't doing a bucket, I tried one of those Filofax expandable containers from Dollarama or Dollar Tree, who I love to visit for ideas because they always make my mind just expand. Not on purpose. I'm sure they don't mean for me to reuse things the way that I do, but I find stuff there and I use it for a completely different reason. One of the things I found out one day when I was looking at things with those little expandable accordion containers, I was using that, but I was losing track of what seed I had available. I am a very visual person, and so not being able to see everything of my tomatoes at once because I had to keep going through them all. I was buying more packages than I needed. I was going nuts when I would go to different garden centers, and I was spending a lot of money. And a lot of seeds, especially like lettuce seeds, that kind of thing, they only have about a 3-year shelf life. One of my favorite lettuces is the West Coast Seeds Winter Density. I love the flavor of it, and I'll bring it out. Okay, this guy right here. So this is my favorite lettuce to grow. I find that when they are a fresh seed packet for that year, their germination rate is good. It takes a little bit longer than other ones that do. Like I had Jester lettuce growing at the same time as this a couple of years ago. And I have photos from my photo memory bank thing showing within 2 or 3 days, Jester popped up. This took a lot longer, and it was 2-year-old seed. So I'd bought it the previous year just to have extra for early spring before they went on sale at the big stores. And this was not coming up. I was getting about maybe 20% germination for a 1-year-old packet of seed. And I was just so frustrated by that. Like, it must just been the way I stored it. So the next year I got brand new lettuce seed, and I stored it somewhere totally different, away from any heat, in a cool area, and still the same issue. So winter density, I know now, it needs a brand new seed packet every year. So this stuff is just left over to remind me that I need to buy a new one this year. This is from 2019, so really this is not going to work this year. I might get a couple of plants if I plant 10. Luckily, I used to have 4 rabbits, and the rabbits were who I was planting a lot of lettuce for, and I'd have a little side salad for myself. So having 10 plants was important because they're very expensive animals to feed fresh all the time. Now this might work for me. However, if you want to have a lot, make sure you buy this type of lettuce frequently. This is a romaine. The Jester I was talking about earlier is a crisp head, and it looks like that. So some people like the look of this. I think it's really cool. It's got all these little purple colorations. Look at the focus on the leaves. I just thought it was so pretty. If you like your lettuce looking perfect, you might not like this because it can kind of look like it's diseased in a way. But I just thought it looked very festive in my bowl. It like really made it pop because I don't have any red. I find red lettuce, if I was to pick it and put it in the fridge, it goes soggy so much quicker. But this one I find didn't. So that's fine. But yeah, as far as the lettuce was going, my seeds were going, I was having a hard time keeping it all organized. Just nothing was working for me. I saw people use those CD organizers from Michaels all the time. Everyone's always talking about that. And I just don't, it doesn't work. So what I did, and I changed it up a little bit this year, I got an old photo album, and this one I got from a thrift store near my house, and it came with tons of these guys. So if I can get this to kind of focus, you have the slits. It just goes in like that. So I just take a seed packet, these Johnny Jump Ups, slides in. And now I have both sides And if I have any seeds that I need to start indoors between January 1st and any other time, I can have all the flowers I have to start that early on this page or the next page as well. Furthermore, what I did this year, because I did that last year and that was a game changer, but what I did differently, and this is so full, I have to get another book. Hold on a second. Okay, so it's popping because it's so huge now. But what I did further is, it's not only are all my seed packets now in here, I also have the earliest they can go in the ground. So that could be for indoor starting or direct. And I wrote on the package when they arrive what it needs to be. So you can see here I accidentally bought 2 packets of spinach because I was so excited to grow it this year. Forgot I already bought one. But we have, for example, on this wildflower packet, I have a little note on the bottom that says direct outside March 1st. And that's just because wildflowers typically, they don't like their roots disturbed that much. So if you were to grow them inside in trays and then mess around their roots later on, they will get stunted. Now, if you're like me and you have a lot of little birds around and a rodent issue in your neighborhood, and those birds and those rodents come in and eat all your little things as soon as they sprout, you need to start indoors. So I've been experimenting with that using plugs or just starting in big containers. Big containers last year worked great, the 3-inch or 4-inch, and then direct sowing those or direct planting those ones in before the last frost. However, this year I'm trying in smaller plugs so that I can spread it out without cutting into the roots later on. We'll see how that goes because I did that last night. They may or may not be happy. We'll find out. But by doing this organizational method of each of the earliest dates I can start, I'm actually on top of my seed starting this year. I probably have 100 different seed packs here. Flowers, greenery, herb, everything. And I have it under control, which is saying a lot. I know a lot of seed people that, usually have a full-time job. You forget because you in December, you're so excited about it. You order all these seeds. You have all these big plans. Maybe you're like me and you have the Farmer's Almanac growing program, and you can decide where you're going to put everything and what you're going to grow, and it all makes sense. You buy all your seeds and blah, blah, blah. And then it comes the time you're actually supposed to start them. You forgot. I've tried to write down on a calendar. So this is this year too. And already I've screwed it up. But this year, I did it only on Saturdays, and I wrote down the earliest of what could be started on those days. And I got it all the way to March. And I branched off. So I have the flowers over here. Flowers here, vegetables there. I'm trying to do a lot more flowers this year. But already I lost track. So January, that was great. February, gone. So this helps me more. I can just grab it. I have this whoosh of the dates telling me this is what you have to do. So I can just open the book. It's a little D-ring binder. So I can just open the book, pull out the page that have to be done. And when all of those have been done, you're good for that week. And that's just a lot easier for me so far for starting. For successive ones, I'll just have to take the seed packet I just did, put it into a blank one, and slide it behind a week, 2 weeks later. And then that's the successive. So that I'm hoping is going to be the answer to all of my issues. We will see. And yeah, so maybe that will help you. Maybe it won't. That is, to my mind, the easiest way of doing it. Well, maybe not the easiest. The most long-term effective way of doing this for me so that I can see everything. So I'll show you for some things, for example, right now, February 15th to March 1st, depending on how warm, how warm the year's been, is when I start my tomatoes. My tomatoes go in the ground May 21st, and I try to get them started between February 15th to March 1st, sometimes a little bit later if it's a colder year. This year I'm starting March 1st. And I found February 15th, by the time I put them out, they're too tall, and their central spine, their central, I'm going to call it a spine because I can't think of the word at the moment, but it's too rigid. And the way I like to plant them is not as deep as they can go vertically. I like to put them on their side, which means that the water, if I don't put enough water on because I'm rushed, or maybe the rain gets them, whatever like that, if the water only goes 2 inches and I've put it on its side, that means that all those new roots along the stem, all the new roots along the stem that have grown, they're about 3 inches below the soil surface. Whatever I water is great. Versus if I put it in vertically deep, that means it has to get down 9 inches. Whenever I put new fertilizer or some side effect in, it's not going to be as quick to take up the water, and the soil may dry out in the middle of summer before that can happen. So I've been doing that the last 4 years. I've noticed a huge improvement, especially if you have to go away for a couple of days, or if you stayed the weekend over somewhere else. And last year, for 2020, it wasn't as much of an issue because we didn't go anywhere. But oftentimes I'll take a week vacation and have to have someone come and water my plants. And non-plant people don't know how long to water plants for. I'll do I fill it up a full inch in the container. And then as that drains, I continue to do everybody else. I come back for a second pass because that first pass is what wets the sponge. The second pass is when they actually absorb the water. And a lot of people don't do that. So having the tomato growing sideways in the soil and then upright, they have a lot more roots close to the surface. And that is something that not everybody does, because you can break the stems if they're too rigid. So that's why I'm saying I'm starting March 1st this year. And as they get potted up, they'll go up and up and up indoors, and then harden them off for a week in my little home hardware greenhouse thing you can get for like $60. And yeah, that should work. And this year and today, what we're starting, because I'm going a couple of days early, are the Sweethearts, which are my absolute favorite cherry tomato. I grow only cherries because of the weather here. We don't get continuous hot weather. So oftentimes I'll get a lot of green growth, not a lot of fruit. Even if I trim them to stop them from putting out all the vegetative growth, I'll still get not enough ripened fruit. Last year it went into October before they started to ripen. So I can only imagine if I had big beef steaks or something to that effect. No. So the Sweethearts, they are a hybrid. The problem with the hybrid is that you can't save seed, which is a bit of a pain in the butt. And they cost like, this is $8.99, but the packaging for the new ones is up to like $9.99, so it's almost $1 a seed. A little expensive, but worth it because I love the flavor. It's tart yet sweet. The flesh is very firm. I'm very big on texture, and the spongy, no, I can't. So I love that these just like pop in your mouth. They're just so good. They are usually my second one to come out. My first red tomato to come out are the sugary. And the sugary are a lot more cost effective. For 20 seeds, it's $4.45 or $4.49, sorry. And both of these are great for germinators. Tomatoes in general are always great germinators. And then my last one, both of these are vine tomatoes. They get huge and they put off fruit for a long period. Last one is this bush tomato, and it's the golden nugget. What I tend to do every year is I try a new tomato variety every year. So a while back I tried sun gold, Everybody loves sun gold. Everyone's on about sun gold. It can do no wrong, but because they're a softer fruit, they tend to damage, and that's why the stores don't carry them. The golden nugget is a more sweet flavor, I find. They're also a bush type, a determinate type, so they require very little pruning. If you prune them, you actually lose fruit. And they stay within, all my tomatoes are grown in 10-gallon buckets. This one stays in a large size cage. It doesn't need any pruning except for I prune the base of the stem so I don't get as much splashback disease issue on the leaves. They're so easy to care for. They provide all their fruit at once, usually around July. These guys go September to October to get the last of their main fruit. These guys are July, and I'm just popping. And they're so good. And then you chop them up in salads. They look very festive as well, very pretty. The new one I'm trying this year is the Red Robin. I tried Tumbler last year, but I think there was an issue with the seed packaging. It was not a bush type. It was supposed to be a bush type that you can grow in a hanging basket. It was not. I don't know what that was. It was not a tumbler. So we're trying Red Robin this year. They're supposed to be like a dwarf variety. I've never grown them before, so we'll see how it goes. They're also cherry. So that is that. I will, a different video. I'll show you that I'm planting them up and starting them from seed because everyone does seed starting videos. However, for prep, what I'm doing today, because I'm going to start them tomorrow once I get all my supplies, is with a good old pencil. I'm going to write the information on here. So the variety and the date they've started, so I know if they have popped up at the right amount of time. I use a pencil rather than Sharpie, so I can reuse those plastic ones the next year. I used to use popsicle sticks. They mold up, and I found that the ones that had mold on them oftentimes damped off, even though they were different fungus. It was just hand in hand. My seedlings would damp off and die. I lost so many basil last year. I started so much from seed. I was so excited for it. And then as they got moldy, so did the popsicle sticks. So I said, screw it. These are long-lasting plastic identifiers. Do that. So that is the game plan. Next video, I will be putting them into the soil and starting them up. And it's a very easy video. Everybody, I think, knows how to start seeds nowadays. Yeah, that's it. Have a great day, guys.